what's up, and welcome back to Interpreting the Scares! That's right, we're back at it on our month-long journey throughout the nightmares. Now remember, I'm taking a look at 31 foreign horror films in chronological order. I've already spoken about the first two Rec films, and now we're on to the third, which is, granted, more of a spin-off than an actual sequel, but anyway, let's talk about Rec 3, Genesis. The third film takes place at a wedding this time. When a horde of zombies suddenly knock down the door and start eating people while they're congregating, the bride and groom become separated and vow to find each other because love can conquer anything, including filthy, bloodthirsty zombies. Okay, so when it comes down to the question on how this film relates to the first two movies, there's two connections. That is, if you're strictly paying really close attention. But the events of this film happen simultaneously as the events that happen at the apartment building scene in the first two movies. So it's not a sequel, it's not a prequel, but it's one of those companion piece films. That's why I said that it's much more of a spin-off than anything else. You don't see any returning faces, you don't see any returning locations, and heck, it's not even a found footage film either. It just goes off of more of a standard zombie outbreak story than the lore seen in the Rec films. I mean, that being said, it still is sort of going off of the lore because there's a priest in the movie and some of the things that he says and does has some merit in making sure that this isn't just a zombie outbreak, but instead it's also demonic in nature. But yeah, it's not found footage. It starts out that way as it's a wedding video at first, but then something funny happens. The people look at the camera guy and they're like, "What are you doing? Are you still filming?" And the cameraman's like, "Yeah. Obviously, we have to document this. People have a right to know." But then the people are like, what? No. And then they take the camera, they break it. And from there on out, it's an actual cinematic, regular movie. I both really like that and hate it at the same time. I mean, I liked it because it was kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing, making fun of why people constantly film and continue to film with the logic of found footage. These people are like, yeah, no, that's stupid. And this film goes on like normal. That allows for this film to actually benefit off of wider angle shots, close-up shots that are not shaky. You can tell what's going on a little bit better, and all around, it feels more like a higher budgeted zombie film. I hate it though, because that's a big part of the identity of what these films even are. Kind of like Paranormal Activity. It's what you come to expect. By removing the found footage angle of the film, it turned a little bit more into a typical zombie movie. Thankfully though, even if it was a typical zombie movie, it still stood out to me as this film was pretty well made. It took inspiration from the Evil Dead franchise, as there is definitely some dark humor going on here. The bride starts going crazy, chopping down zombies with a chainsaw. That's not even really a spoiler, that's what you see on the poster. It's also actually pretty personal the more that you think about it. These aren't just typical random zombies, right? They're all from a wedding event. So their friends and family and the bride and groom have to take these people that they probably personally invited down. It's kind of crazy if you think about it. Also, Rec 1 and 2 both had police or military or whatever, so there was a lot of gunfire in those movies, while this is a wedding reception. So you have more makeshift weaponry where these people have to get closer to the zombies, physically closer to them to take them down, as opposed to shooting them from far away. So this is definitely a fun movie, and I might even get some crap for saying this, but this is one of the most fun experiences I've had while watching any of the Rec films. The first two movies were mostly just trying to be true horror, but this was horror, it was comedy, and definitely a touch of romance as well. And for me, this blending of genres really worked. Heck, even the ending really worked for me. I thought that was actually done pretty neat. Overall, I actually like this film. If you start comparing it to the other two Rec films, you might have a little bit of an issue because, like I said, it doesn't exactly have a ton of DNA in the film associated with the original films, and it mostly feels like a generic zombie film. One with not a ton of character backgrounds or development, and the story is wishy-washy at best. It's what you mostly come to expect. The only thing that I think holds this film up is the attitude that it has, which is darkly comedic at times. You got Sponge John in there, a guy dressed up in a sponge outfit. You got people walking around in ancient armor with swords to take on the zombies. You have this chainsaw thing. It's fun, you know? It is a fun movie. The gore as well, very well done, and I personally love the choice to have everything be centered on the love that this bride and groom have for each other. And that's the main driver of the plot. I actually thought that it worked. So I'm gonna score this film a B+ letter grade. Final overall score of 83%. 83 out of 100 possible stars, which I'm sorry to break it to you guys, but that's 2% higher of an overall score than the first Rec film, which means I actually liked this movie the best out of all the Rec films that I've seen so far. I still have another movie to go, but this one-off film I had so much fun with. It felt like, you know, they really knew what they wanted to do, and they embraced that. I don't know. What about you guys? Have you seen Rec 3 Genesis? If so, please let me know what you thought about it in the comment section down below and how you rank it among all the Rec films. As for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit the like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with my next review for Interpreting the Scares. And until then, peace out.